Summer arrived early in Washington tonight, at least for some people in the nation's capital. Attorney General Bill Barr, true to his word, has just appointed a U.S. attorney to determine if surveillance of the Trump team was unlawful. Now, the announcement dropped just over an hour ago that Connecticut's U.S. Attorney John Durham will investigate the origins of the Russia investigation. Now, Durham would seem an inspired choice, as he's previously investigated issues like law enforcement corruption and destruction of CIA videotapes. Here now, former independent counsel Ken Starr and former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo. All right, Ken, what is Durham going to be looking at?
Oh, he's going to get to the bottom of this. John Durham was such a brilliant choice by Bill Barr. It was so timely. We're all waiting, as you know, Laura, for the Inspector General report. But now we have perhaps the most respected prosecutor in the United States who served so brilliantly, including some assignments during the Obama administration. He's totally above politics. You can't talk about he's an angry Republican. He was confirmed by literally every member of the Senate who voted. And why? Because of his record. So we have a really honest cop on the beat now. So I'm very pleased that Bill Barr is saying, let's have the report from the Inspector General, who's a guy of integrity. Let's now have John Durham take this look as well. Great timing. And then, of course, remember, waiting in the wings is Lindsey Graham, who has said, I want to get to the bottom of this as well. We're going to find out.
Now, John, for the Democrats to have done what they did last week, moving on contempt against Bill Barr, did they think that was going to cow Bill Barr, that he was going to be dissuaded from doing what he said he was going to do in the hearing, which was take a look at the spying? Will they try to smear John Durham now? Will there be any way for them to do that, given his utter professionalism and integrity and the wide-ranging experience that he has on government corruption issues?
If I were the Democrats, I would be quite worried. And the reason why is by appointing a U.S. attorney, Attorney General Barr is essentially signaling that he thinks it's possible that criminal violations occurred in the start of the whole investigation into any kind of Trump-Russia collusion. As Judge Starr said, there's already an Inspector General investigation going on that's going to come to a conclusion. That's what you would do if you were just interested in reforming the way the department does things, the way decisions were made. But you wouldn't go with a U.S. attorney like Durham, someone of his stature, unless the Attorney General thinks actually something criminal might have happened, that someone might have violated the law, that there might have been malfeasance, that people at the FBI or the Justice Department were acting out of partisan motives, not just out of incompetence or stupidity, or they were duped by the Russians or Steele or the English or by the Clinton campaign. So if you were a Democrat, I think you would be really worried to see the appointment of a career prosecutor like this.
Now, Ken, what they were saying about Barr last week was so reprehensible on so many levels. But among the people trashing Barr was Jim Comey, who's worked with Barr, knows Barr. This is what he said last week.
He's an accomplished and very smart person, and who had nothing to lose in taking this job but his reputation. But it doesn't make me happy to say this, but I think he has lost most of his reputation with the way he's conducted himself.
Lost most of his reputation, Ken, and who might be feeling some of that early summer heat tonight but Jim Comey?
Well, it's so unfair. It's unfortunate, but it's totally unfair not just to Bill Barr, but to the Department of Justice, which he's leading. Bill Barr is deeply respected by the career people in the Justice Department, as someone who just calls it the way he sees them. And I think that's what he's been doing throughout this process. And so I regret what Jim Comey said. I profoundly disagree with it. And I hope that Bill Barr will continue to call him the way he sees him, be the honest person that he is, and don't bend to the pressures of Washington, D.C.
Hey, John, we mentioned earlier, how high could this go? How far could this investigation go? This is a presidential campaign. There was a lot riding on who won the presidency. Obviously, Obama wanted Hillary to win. We had the whole deal with her server and all of that. But we don't really know where this could go, because there really hasn't been the type of investigation. Congress can't do the type of investigation that a U.S. attorney is trained to do, correct?
Right. Actually, as someone who's worked on FISA applications, I can tell you how high it could go, because under the FISA law itself, the Attorney General has to approve the FISA application. So if the Steele dossier, which we now know was completely made up, was used as a basis for a FISA application, then you have someone who's high up in the FBI had to approve that, someone high up in the Justice Department had to approve that, ultimately the Attorney General has to approve that. And then a second thing we haven't touched on yet is it appears that the FBI tried to send in undercover informants and agents to try to infiltrate the Trump campaign. There's a whole other set of laws that are called the Attorney General Guidelines, which are supposed to only allow that in very, very rare circumstances. So I assume the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General and maybe FBI Director Comey all had to sit down on that decision and approve it. All of their decisions should be looked at by the U.S. Attorney. And I think, again, as you were saying in the first question, some people are going to be in a lot of trouble because lying to a federal judge, lying to a federal court under oath is a perjury.
All right, guys, thank you so much.